We're going to call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Eckert?
Here.
Mrs. Goebel?
Here.
Mr. Greenlee?
Here.
Dr. Osherik?
Here.
Dr. Pravola?
Here.
Mr. Burke?
Here.
Mr. Farr?
Here.
Mrs. Arnold?
Here. Superintendent's remarks.
Good evening, board and Tiger community. I have a very exciting update. Last week, our district champion boys swim team participated in the Pennsylvania State Championship held at Bucknell University. I'm thrilled to report that our swimmers returned home with 11 medals and our team finished 5th in the state. For the second year in a row, our boys swim team was undefeated in league play, winning consecutive championships. Coach Tim Mislevy really has the swim program in a great place and moving in a good direction. My next topic is, I'm going from something very exciting and positive to something unfortunately is very sad. Sadly, longtime school director Lori Bennett passed away after a very courageous health battle. I'll miss her. We didn't always agree on district business, but we were always fully aligned with prioritizing the needs of students. Lori was one of the best advocates I've ever seen. She truly was. She was vocal and demanding in her desire to always help students that were underserved, including those with disabilities, addiction issues, and mental health needs. It takes a very special person to put the needs of others ahead of themselves. And, Lori was that person. She dedicated her life to her family and to helping and serving others. That's the best tribute and the highest compliment I can possibly pay her. I know that she's going to be missed. I'd like to welcome new school board member Ethan Greenlee. Director Greenlee was appointed earlier this evening at a special meeting. I look forward to working closely with him as we continue to move our school district forward. We have a very good school board that works well together, and Director Greenlee is going to be a great addition to that team. And as always, thank you so much for the opportunity to address our community. I look forward to a good meeting.
I want to make the announcement that we are going to be having a more formal recognition of Lori's service to the board with her family here at the April meeting, which is a week earlier than usual. It's April 10th. So what that's going to specifically look like, whether there's some kind of something before the actual meeting start time or whatnot, will be announced and posted on the district website once those details are ironed out. But we're not going to glaze over the fact. I'm not sure. I'd said earlier in the other meeting that I don't know when or if it's happened that we've lost school board members while they were actively serving the district. And that's not even to mention the years of Lori's employment with the district. She worked for the district for quite a long time, and then she was also a coach for the district for cheerleading, and I think she also might have helped with track. And in addition to all the work that she did for the community with, as Mr. Doherty mentioned, mental health and addiction and special needs and all of those things. Lori was passionate. She was never somebody who was going to say yes just to be a rubber stamp person. And I'm sure anybody who's seen a few meetings has seen where Lori was never shy about letting us know where she stood on things. And I don't think, from the time that I was sitting in the audience, I don't think I would be on the board necessarily had it not been for her robust encouragement and involving me in understanding the stuff that was going on. So I'm going to miss my friend, but we will be having a more formal recognition at the next meeting. With that, I would like to have a moment of silence at this meeting in memory of Lori. Thank you. Prior to tonight's meeting, let the record show that we held an executive session for personnel matters related to specific staff. With that, do we have any public comments on agenda items only? Seeing none. Enrollments are available for everybody's information. No shockers there. We have not gained another 1,000 students in the district. Any discussion about enrollment? Moving along to the approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 20th meetings?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. Osherek?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Under business and finance.
Transportation Committee minutes.
Oh, they were both in the one, I thought.
Was that the motion?
Yeah, the motion was the Transportation Committee and the Public Works.
Okay.
All right, under business and finance, do we have a motion to approve the items under business and finance?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. Osherek?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right, item 3, superintendent's report.
Good evening again, Board. I'd like a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and we
Second.
have a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee?
Abstain.
Dr. Osherek?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes.
I would like to congratulate Dorothy Corby and David Williams. They are two of our support staff that will be retiring. It was just approved by the board on the personnel report, but I'd like to thank them for their service to our school district.
Yes, thank you for your service to the district.
I would like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, you're good.
The second item under the superintendent's report is motion to approve conference attendance as presented.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
What is PAFPC and PASBO?
Federal, oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's federal programs.
Oh.
And then PASBO's me, that's the School Business Officers, the annual state conference.
Gotcha.
It's okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Just because I know it's been brought up before, there is one that is, the conference already took place. But that was Mary Jean, and she, I believe there was an error, like she thought that it had gone through the system and it didn't.
No,
or-
that was me.
Oh, that's right, that was you. I'm sorry, Mary Jean.
I pulled the Mary
It was
Jean.
you,
Yeah,
okay.
I apologize, that was
I knew
me.
somebody had called and told me about that. All right.
Sorry about that.
All right, any other, yeah, oh, there it is, Charles Subban. Okay. Did we already did it? Okay.
We got a
Can we
motion.
get a roll call, please?
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. Osherek?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Committee reports. Do any committees want to report back?
Well, the Transportation Committee met earlier, and recommendation from them to be taken up at the April board meeting would be to increase the bus contractors' mileage reimbursement to 28 cents this next school year, 29 cents the following year, and 30 cents the year after that, as well as to have them take over the cameras. And in part of that, the administration will be looking at bus routes to try to consolidate where it makes sense.
Thank you. Are there any other committees that need to either schedule a meeting or have anything that needs to be reported?
Director Farr, do we want to mention anything with the gas too? Do we want to look at getting out of the gas and having them apply for,
Their own
Tax exempt.
nonprofit, their
I think we can, I don't think they want to do that tonight.
Okay,
Maybe we can work on that another time.
got it. Thank you.
All right, moving along to unfinished business, the 25-26 academic school calendar.
Good evening, Board. We passed the school calendar, and I asked I asked Mrs. Lawson to put this back on for reconsideration. There's only one minor change here. I'm much more comfortable having President's Day off than the week before. So I'm hoping that instead of being off February 9th, the Board would agree to the 16th of February, and then February 9th will be a school day. I'm much more comfortable with it being the federal holiday that's off. That's the only change on the calendar.
Is there any other discussion about that? Or wait, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay, now is there discussion?
So is it just because it's the federal holiday, or?
Well, we had talked about this because we talked about that, the week before, the Monday before is the day after the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to, it's a challenging day to staff.
Right.
I mean, it's as challenging to staff that day as it is a Friday in May, if that's fair. But I look at it as we were going to be in school for the federal holiday for President's Day. There's people that go away that weekend. I know there is. I would just be more comfortable having a calendar that has us off on the federal holiday instead of in school with having Super Bowl Sunday off. Like it's just me personally. I would rather have the federal holiday off than the week before.
Because of the optics of it?
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Is there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, can we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Osherek,
Yes.
Dr. Pravola,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that was your idea, Holly. I can't believe you voted yes for that change.
My youngest graduates from high school this year, so I won't have to get up the day after the Super Bowl with him. Like whatever
I mean,
works.
we have a very good calendar. I mean, I really like our calendar.
Thank you for your work on it. It's very good.
No, I'm not
agree
saying it for that
100%.
reason. I'm just thinking we have a good calendar.
Agreed. Agreed.
All right. New business. Informational documents are there, the visa, the teacher substitute fill rate calendar, and our listing of any right to knows that we've received.
President Arnold, if I may, very quickly, we've had a good deal of right to knows that have been received lately. Right now, we are up to 32 right to knows have been received. Most of that is since our last meeting. 14 have been fulfilled, 14 have been denied, 2 have been withdrawn, there's 1 extension, and there's 1 pending. 4 appeals have been filed with the Office of Open Records. They are all pending decision. District staff has spent about 30 hours processing these requests. So it is a significant amount of time. And thus far, in legal fees this year, we've spent about $5,500. However, we do not yet have the updated bill from this past month. That number is going to climb significantly. But we have received a great deal of right-to-knows.
Okay.
Director Arnold, I just wanted to mention too, if I just wanted to highlight ESS real quick. We gave them a task of increasing our sub pool, and I just want to say they've done that tremendously. We're up to like well over 30 subs, 40 subs now. I know we were consistently had like 8 or 9 that were always in Tunkhannock, and that necessarily doesn't exist anymore. But our pool itself has increased significantly, and they've done what we asked. So I just wanted to highlight that.
So we're getting better fill rates than we did before then.
Yeah, and if you look at our fill rates, they're consistently in the 70s and 80s and things like that. And we just have we have a large amount of subs that are constantly trying to recruit and get more, and that's what we asked them to do.
I think last year we ended with 11 substitutes total. And I think right now we are above 30.
Yeah, I think we're
Great.
close to 40. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. There's no other discussion on those items. Letter B is the first reading of board policies. So just as an update for Ethan, board policies, unless there's a driving reason, they're usually not like super substantive. They are like we have our membership with the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, and when there's a legal reason or some other reason that we should be updating a policy to change some language or something, they send us recommendations of the policies because they are that ones that actually write them. Otherwise, we'd have to write them ourselves. And so we try to keep up on these, but you'll see that there's usually a few every month that we have to update. They're available if people want to read them. The way policies are voted in is that there's one meeting where they're available to be read, right? So that everybody knows that we're considering this. At the next meeting, it'll be the second reading, that's when we vote on them. So it's just there for information purposes today.
And I would, if I may, I would like to point out that policy 103, 103.1, and 104, they were the ones that we decided as a group to not take action on. They're the Title IX, because there was a lot of controversy surrounding the new Title IX laws that were put in place. And
Many months ago.
Many months ago.
Yeah.
So we were operating under the 2020 Title IX. We were operating under our old policy because we did not update that. These are the newly released and updated policies with the new guidelines of Title IX, which revert to 2020. So essentially, we are just updating our old policy here. So just so everyone knows, so if anybody calls and asks about a Title IX policy, basically we're reauthorizing the 2020 Title IX rules.
We had read the writing on the wall that the edits that they gave us last year, or whatever it was, like when there were some laws that were changed, probably were going to be challenged in court.
That's correct.
So we, as a district, opted not to take action on them until that was settled because we don't need extra drama. And lo and behold, there were court cases. It did not go the way of the new law. It reverted back, so we're, our policy is pretty much the same.
So essentially, we're updating our 2020 policy for legal reasons, but it's
the same.
The same.
Substantively.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on board policies? All right, the bus and van contracts are there. Do we have a motion to approve bus and van contracts as presented?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Pravola,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee,
Abstain.
Dr. Osherik,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. All right, item D, approval of overnight or out-of-state field trips. A couple of those this
Motion
time of
to
year.
approve.
Go ahead, sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes.
Dr. Osherik,
Yes.
Dr. Pravola,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item E, a memorandum of understanding with Hands of Wyoming County for classroom space. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. This is to expand the pre-K program in our county, right?
That's correct. There was 45 Wyoming County pre-K count slots, so this is totally grant funded, right? This doesn't cost us anything except space. That was at Keystone College. Being with the uncertainty of the college, there was a lot of people that were looking to acquire those seats. Lackawanna County schools were calling about transferring them from Wyoming County to Lackawanna County. We kind of partnered with Kathy Franco at Hands, who did a wonderful job, and we have some classroom space available. So we are keeping 45 pre-K count slots in our county. So there's going to be 45 that potentially are at the primary center. There's another 30 still up at Mahoopany, and there's 30 at CDC downtown. So that brings 105 pre-K count slots to our county, like within our district. That's such a huge benefit, and that costs us nothing. We don't employ the teachers, we don't employ the paras. Basically, we're just providing space.
And that's separate from Head Start.
Correct. Yeah, so that's completely separate from Head Start. So this is really adding a lot of pre-K options for our families.
It really does, and by the size of our classes, it pretty much opens up a preschool slot to almost every incoming kindergartner to have been able to go to preschool before they come to Tunkhannock.
Potentially, something that's a challenge for us is many times, due to the lack of pre-K that available, is we don't see or see students or get eyes on students before they walk in the door the first, for kindergarten. And for some students, that's perfectly fine. For other students, they have some needs that need to be addressed and services that need to be in place when they arrive. So this should help that process immensely. This should help with early literacy. And really, there's so much research on the importance of early literacy. This is a big win for our school district. So, having some space at the primary center, true, we are concerned about our declining enrollment, but try to make something positive out of a negative, like that's opened up some space to add some pre-K to that building. So they will utilize our food service and, we'll get reimbursed for that. So really, it costs us nothing than providing the space.
That's great. There's also a push in the state that they want to increase pre-K programs for those same reasons. And there are school districts that are actually paying to start pre-K programs, which I don't believe our district could absorb. So any of these outside entities that are, tried and true and can be good partners, and we can provide them the avenue that only benefits our kids.
I say it often. So if after my time here in Tunkhannock is done, if people say, hey, he helped bring more pre-K programs to the area, I think that's a win. I really do.
Okay, so I guess if there's no other discussion, we need a roll call.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. Osherik?
Yes.
Dr. Perbola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Next item, F, the renewal of an agreement with the Meadows Psychiatric Center.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and we have a second. Just for some context, this is another one of those things where when a student has special needs, we are required to meet those needs. We cannot meet them all in-house. We need to have partners. So this is another partner.
I don't think we have any students currently placed there. That's just the contract of what, if we had to send a student there over the next 3 years, of what the cost would be.
It's a residential option, right, Jeff? It's for residential, yeah, if you needed a residential placement for center-based.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion? Did we get a motion? All right, I'm sorry, I can't keep track tonight. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. Osherik?
Yes.
Dr. Perbola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. Next item, textbook approval. A motion to approve the purchase of AP Psych, AP German, and AP Spanish textbooks.
Motion to approve?
Second?
This is an expansion of, these are our new AP programs to our high
Yes,
schools,
so
so that's
exciting.
exciting.
So excited. That brings our total of APs up to 14.
Right. Any other discussion?
Just again, thank you to the administration for bringing in those AP classes. I know it's challenging with their enrollments, but that really helps those students who want to go to those higher level colleges and have the availability as AP classes. So
Absolutely. Colleges love transcripts that have AP courses on them. No, and just so everyone knows, AP gives a list of books that you're allowed to choose from. Like, you can't go out and say, we want this one. So these are directly, they were vetted here and they meet our program's needs. But I'm very excited to offer these 3 additional AP courses.
Any other discussion?
Oh, actually, are those classes have students that selected them already? This is the part of where these classes replaced honors, Spanish, whatever, right?
Well,
4 or something.
there's a Spanish 4. We had a Spanish 4.
Yeah, and this.
That won't be offered.
Yep.
So like a student that's taking Spanish 4, if they want to, they would take AP Spanish, which benefits them in the curve,
No,
to
I
be
totally-
honest.
I totally agree.
You know, if they're in Spanish 4, they're pretty good.
Yeah, I was
I
actually
don't know how
asking, we have students that are enrolling. I just
Yes,
wanna make
same
sure.
thing with German, like AP German would replace German 4.
Yep.
AP Psych is new.
AP Psych is no.
Right.
Oh, we had the dual enrollment psych before, right?
I'm sorry?
We had a dual enrollment psych. I
Yes.
thought. Okay.
Yes, I mean, but offering AP really does great benefits for transcripts. I mean, I can't emphasize
Oh, yeah, I
that
totally
enough.
agree. I just wanted to make sure that before we buy the books, we have students that want
Yeah.
to take the classes. That's all I was asking, so.
We're in the midst of the scheduling process right now. Mr. Winsek and his team right, you're doing student schedules now, right?
Next week.
So course requests are going to be filed next week. So once all the course requests are in, then we start building the master and see how many sections of each you want. AP Psych is a great addition, and I think it's going to be popular.
Yeah. Great. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Goebel,
Yes.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick,
Yes.
Dr. Perbola,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mrs. Eckerd,
Yes.
Mr. Farr,
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold.
Yes. Item H, approval of the digital hallway software. Motion to approve digital hallways software securely for the 25, 26, 26, 27, and 27, 28 school years.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
I had a quick, I read it. What is that?
So this is the hall passing. If a kid needs to go to the bathroom, they actually do it through their Chromebook, and it kicks to the teacher, and they approve it. And there's a lot of cool functions on it where, you know, if Mr. Winsek and Chuck Supon don't like each other, if I ask to go to the bathroom, it can be flagged in there that that kid's also out in the hallway at the same time. So like, there's a lot of things we can do to eliminate issues, make sure kids aren't missing an extensive amount of class time. It's just a cool thing. We locked in a 3-year term, and it helps just the educational day-to-day business and eliminating any issues. Did I miss anything, Mr. Winsek? Mr. Winsek actually has it on a demo right now, going this school year, and then it kicks in officially July 1st.
They've been running a pilot at the high school.
Yeah.
So it really limits the amount of kids that can be in the hallway at one time. You can only bring so many passes across the building in one moment, as well as it limits how many times students can use the bathroom throughout the day, meaning like they can't go every single period. So, like Mr. Supon was referencing too, like we know kids are trying to meet up. If I see a common pattern, well then if Mr. Kabowski creates a pass, and I like to meet up with them at a certain time every day, I won't allow me to create a pass, so that way those meetups don't happen. It also time and date stamps every time they leave the classroom. So now, if Mr. Supon is failing English, when we look back over the last month, he missed 2 hours of instructional time going to his locker, going to the bathroom, going to the nurse. Now we say, okay, now we have an issue. So there's a lot of things that you could do behind the scenes to really keep kids in classrooms and learn.
And engaged. And we are going to look at it with our IC too. We had a demo with our IC principals the other day. I told them to think about it though, see if it's appropriate, because we have a unique IC building where it's not like 6, 7, 8, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So even if we split it to 6, 7, but they at least saw the demo and they're going to think it over to see if they think it's efficient in that building also for our older kids.
I have one more thing. It's really catching on across, like, not only Lackawanna County, but Durham County. The list of schools that are utilizing this program is pretty extensive. Mr. Doherty asked me to call some current districts that are using it, like Scranton, Valley View, Abington, and Wyoming Valley West. And everybody I spoke to couldn't say enough good things about it. That's why we chose to pilot it this year.
And it's worth noting, if for some reason the IC is interested, there's going to be a pilot there. So nothing would kick in from a payment perspective until 7/1, and then we'll lock in a 3-year term.
No, I think this will be good. Do we have a motion yet? Sorry.
cheap, too.
Yes, okay.
Relatively speaking, it's inexpensive.
Yeah, it is pretty expensive. You know, there's a value in knowing where our students are in this age more than ever. You know, that we know how many kids are out of the classroom. We know if there's an emergency where they were supposed to be, right? There was when my other son was in school, there used to be an issue of what I would call the hallway gypsies, where they, you know, would just kind of wander, you know. So I think that this will be good, especially the ability to manage. And obviously, before I read anything on social media that there's going to be an issue, if a student is having a problem and they need to go to the bathroom, they're going to be allowed to go to the bathroom, right? Like, they're not going to be told, like, oh, well, you know. But if they're going to the bathroom every period of every day and they're doing that, you know, every week, and they're having other problems, this allows us to, like, locate those patterns more efficiently.
I mean, they've been using it at the high school now, and I haven't gotten any feedback from parents, which is, in my mind, is a good thing.
Right. Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Greenlee?
Yes.
Dr. O'Sherrick?
Yes.
Dr. Pravola?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Mrs. Goebel?
Yes.
Mr. Farr?
Yes.
Mrs. Arnold?
Yes. All right, with that, we'll open the floor to public comment.
I was just looking today, with the format change in the district website, I can't find the full sports schedules like it used to be. Can anybody tell me what I may have missed? I clicked through everything and I couldn't find it. I can just see the one that rotates across the top for a week or so, but it used to print all the teams and the players and the whole schedule, but I can't find that anymore.
I know it's a link. Now, they also are putting the events on the calendar, on the like main website calendar, where it used to just be school board meetings that were listed there usually. Now,
I wonder how far out it goes.
yeah, I think it goes quite a ways. But then if you go under district information and then district athletics, it sends you to a link to the TASD athletics schedule. And I think it's like, yeah, it's TAHSathletics.bigteams. Okay. Mr. Winsickle.
I'll make a note of that, thanks.
Okay.
Another thing, I've mentioned this before, I'd like to see this district bring back Rachel's Challenge. It is a very positive thing for the kids. When Mr. Healy was super, some of the kids, I think it was the 5th grade, they would meet in his office every couple weeks. He would buy them pizza, and they would make upbeat notes and stuff to hand out to different other students that were having problems, or the teachers. But to have that assembly, I've attempted, that's always a big draw here in Tunkhannock. And then the last thing I saw there, I guess it was the day of Miss Bennett's viewing, that the flags were down at half-staff. I was wondering how that come about.
I'll address that. That was not for Director Bennett.
Pardon?
That was not for Director Bennett.
Okay. Well,
We get notified on when to lower the flags.
the schools were the only ones that were down that I
Well,
saw.
then someone else missed it. We
And
get
it-
notified when to lower a flag. We can't pick when to lower a flag.
Right, because I know the schools had issues before when they lowered them on their own previously. But I didn't see anybody else's flags down. That's what I was wondering. And there's only 2 people.
I think John, right? Was it John Shapolsky that contacted me that day? We got notified by,
It was from the incident at that hospital,
yes.
and they were supposed to be at half staff until after the services for that individual. sure we'll put them back down right after that, because I think I sent a text out.
Can you repeat what he said?
I can't.
Oh, so the state notifies us when we are to fly flags at half-mast. The governor makes that call, right?
Yep.
The
Okay,
president
so,
and the governor is
Yes.
the only ones to
yeah,
make
so
the
there was,
call.
and it was a police officer, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, a police officer
Requested by
that
the
had passed
state.
away, and they, they had to be down until after his service, so,
Okay, well, that's, I mean, it happened to be at the same time, that's why I was asking.
yeah.
And I wish, it's very hard if I go home and watch this video. We cannot hear you, so I don't know whether to have everybody wear a headset mic like they have for the plays, but you can't hear you even if you hit it on closed caption. It doesn't even print it out most of the time. It's very poor quality of our meetings. Thanks.
Thanks. Any other public comment? Any other board comment?
If I may, for 1 second, I just would like, and I should have put this in my super talk, our kids are getting into elite colleges again this year. It's unbelievable. We're 4 for 4 with admissions to Bucknell this year, which is incredible. One of our students just got notified she got a full academic scholarship to Bucknell. She's going into an engineering, a medical engineering category. They gave her tuition, room, board, books. They even gave her back her application fee. Absolutely incredible. So we have 4 at Bucknell. We have 1 going to Notre Dame. We have 1 going to Cornell. I mean, it's early. We have 4 scholarship athletes coming out of this class, 3 Division II scholarship athletes and 1 Division I scholarship athlete. Like, there are absolutely incredible things happening in our schools every single day. I mean, this is all in addition to goats running around the school sometimes. But there are absolutely incredible things. Our FFA is exploding in popularity. There are such good, exciting things happening in our district and in this building that I'm so proud of it. But my goodness, I mean, she told me she got a full scholarship the other day. I gave her a hug and then I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I got excited because like that's life-changing. Like, getting your books paid for, like, that's life-changing. So I couldn't be more proud of our students.
I heard there was even a Virginia Tech.
You're going back to school? Oh,
Alexis.
Yeah.
Blacksburg.
But it's just great to see kids going to colleges like that, and then also branching out to a place like Virginia Tech where they're going outside of their comfort zone.
Oh yeah, did you see? We have 1 going to Virginia Tech. He was in the back of the announcement, jumping up and down.
I think there is some kind of like direct pathway to Cornell. This is like the 3rd year in a row or something, or we have a bunch of, there's like a little Tunkhannock, like part of the dorms, I think, at Cornell.
Like, we're waiting on another Cornell, and we're waiting on 2 kids to see if they got in the academy. They both had the congressional nomination. So we're waiting on 1 for the Air Force Academy and 1 for the Naval Academy. So we're, fingers crossed that they get in. But I mean, out of 180 kids, we start talking about these things that are going on, and we typically typically in our area, about 55% go to college. So if we're talking 100 students, and we're talking schools like this, like the things that are happening here, I'll put it against anybody, regardless of size, what's going on here.
And we have something for everybody, because in that same breath you were talking about, the FFA, which brings me to the point that I was supposed to pass along a message to the high school, that if we're gonna have goats, we also need to have grief counselors, because goats struggle to stay alive. So, just so you're prepared, you might wanna get more goats.
I heard you were
Just
chasing
saying.
one.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn, or any other board comment, or?
Motion to adjourn.